Um, hey, welcome to my channel, and this was my first video. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I really don't see on YouTube, and that, if there are people dealing with this, they don't really talk about it. So, for me, I want to talk about it because it's something I deal with every day, and, I've always, sorry if I keep looking up, it's like, I just gotta make sure my child is not in the room. But it's something I deal with every day, and it worries me because, you know, I have a 3-year-old and I have two 3-month olds. So let me just get right into the video and I'll explain what I'm talking about then. So today, decided, I'm gonna make my first YouTube video because it's really been heavy on my heart and I really wanted to do it. And I actually was gonna film a video about the things I wish people would have told you before having twins. But as I was getting ready, I was like, you know what? Actually, I want to film something different, something that I've never seen. I want to film something that actually is very sensitive. So if I start crying during this video, I apologize ahead of time because I know I probably will. I am bipolar. And I suffer from depression and mania, and I have children. I do not take medication. I do go to therapy. I do do anger management, but I am trying to do a medication-free management. And so far it's going good, but like I said, I'm going to get into depth. And if you want to experience this with me, well, not experience it, but go through this with me and get to know me on a personal level, please stay tuned. Please like this video, subscribe, hit the bell button, so you can continue to grow with me and my family. My name is Jabrielle, and I'm 27 years old. I found out that I was bipolar when I was 24, but I actually had already had my first nervous breakdown at 15. I just didn't know what it was at the time. And it was difficult. It was hard for me to ask for help. It was hard for me to acknowledge I had a problem. But once I did, I'm not going to say things got a lot better because they didn't. But I was able to understand and grow to notice my symptom changes, recognize my triggers, and then it honestly made me a better wife. It made me a better mother. It made me a better person, just knowing what it is that was wrong with me instead of knowing I have a problem but not willing to figure out what it was. So after I had my third child, Lily, who is now 3, I became very, very sad. And I actually started gaining a lot of weight, and I was really unhappy with myself. I didn't know what was going on truly, as far as if, I was suffering from postpartum depression, or if the situation I was in just wasn't where I wanted to be in life. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I knew I wasn't happy. So I started going to the doctor. And, prior to that, when I met my husband, I actually was going on 9 months without sleep. And I was partying crazy, drinking damn near every day. It was rough. And then, a year later, so yes, I did actually have mania for almost a year and a half, which is really crazy because you're hyper, you don't really need sleep. You do crazy impulsive things that you would never originally do in your own character, And for me, my biggest thing was drinking. I drank heavily, pretty much every day. I was a day drinker, a night drinker. I didn't drink at work, and I didn't drink when I had my children. I made those very, very important parts of my life. But if I didn't have my kids and I was alone, I was drinking. If I was at a party, I was drinking. If I was at work, at the bar, I was drinking. But it was a rough time. So when I actually experienced my first serious depression after her, I was concerned. I was really worried because I didn't know what it was, and so I had to start going to the doctor and seeing a therapist, and then I got a psychiatrist, and kind of find out, like I said, I was diagnosed with bipolar, bipolar 2, I believe, which is the mania. And you're considered bipolar 2 even if you only have one spell in your whole life of mania, and it can last between a couple weeks to a year and a half to 2 years. And that's like a severe break when you get that far. But the thing is, it's like, people that are on crack, they don't want to come down from that high, so they're not really tripping about it. They're going to keep smoking because they're going to keep trying to get high. Well, mania is a natural high. So you're not really concerned like, oh, well, I don't need sleep. So, like, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Like, you have an unrealistic view of life, and it's a constant party in your mind. So, coming down from that and just getting real low, it scared me. I was like, what is going on, And then, after my diagnosis, and talked to my therapist and my psychiatrist, I realized that I've had this my whole life, because you are born bipolar. You don't just become bipolar, You don't just wake up one day and be like, oops, I'm bipolar. No. It is a chemical imbalance that you are born with. It is genetic. And honestly, people are like, oh, well, I'm sorry, like when they find out that I'm bipolar, because I'm very open with it. Because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I'm being rude to them, or I just like, I'm wishy-washy. I let them know up front, because I know that there are going to be days where I don't want to mess with you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hang out with you, because I just want to stay home. And there are going to be days where I'll just hit you up randomly, like, you want to hang out? You want to go here? You want to do this? And it's not because I'm a phony friend, or I'm trying to be little our friendship, or, it's just because I know that I have some personal issues that I really... Like, I wake up and I don't know who I'm going to be that day. And honestly, that's the best way I can explain it, because it's a day-to-day basis with your spells. And honestly, people are like, you're either depressed or you're happy. It's not what it is. It affects every emotion, and it heightens it to the most maximum level it can possibly be. So if I'm angry, I'm angry. I'm like the Hulk. If I'm sad, I'm like sad off, what's that show? Inside Out. Like, there's no in between for my emotions. I feel one emotion at one time, but it's going to be to the extreme. And my mood can switch like that. It's like a light switch at any time. I could be laughing with you, and then all of a sudden I just bust out crying. And it's not funny, like, when it happens. But looking back at it, there's been times where me and my husband have been laughing and talking, and then I'll just bust out crying. And he's like, what's wrong? And then, I'm like, I really couldn't even tell you. And, he's been a trooper through this, because honestly, I hid it from him when I first found out for a good couple months, because I thought he would leave me. We weren't married at the time. We were just dating. And, he stuck beside me. He married me anyway, so that has to say something about my character. No, I'm just kidding. But, he stayed around, and he's also dealing with this. This is something that affects everybody in my life. It's not just something that affects me. Yes, I'm the one that's going through it, but they have to see me go through it. They have to be there. They, they get every ounce of what I'm going through. And sometimes, they don't get the pretty version, So people that decide to still be my friends, still be, part of my life, my husband still decided to be with me. Those are the people that I truly understand love me, because they love me for all of me. And deciding to be a mother really for me has never really been a question. I always wanted children. I never wanted as many as I had, honestly, when I was younger, because I always had everybody's kids. I always only wanted, a boy and a girl, maybe 2 boys, maybe 2 girls. I ended up having, me physically having 5 children. I have 1 son, he's 7, and I have 4 daughters. 1 is 6, 1 is 3, and then my twins are 3 months. And then I have a stepdaughter who is 5. And if anybody says she's not my child, then you're crazy, because she's my child. I love her as my own, but, I didn't birth her. Her mother did. So, but, having children was never, it never crossed my mind as far as my children can be like me. They could end up like me. And it's really funny because I'm terrified. I'm terrified that one of my children, any of them, any of them can be this way, can have it. But I do know that I will know how to guide them. I will know how to help them get through it. I've been told that when you're bipolar, your 20s is the hardest. And I got 3 more years until I'm 30. I'm so excited. But yes, because you're already going through changes in your body. You're already going through physical, emotional changes. And even though in your teens, you're going through puberty and all that things. But as an adult, you go through changes that you don't even know about. And then put on top of that a pregnancy and giving birth and breastfeeding. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I'm going to tell you honestly, it was a lot. I breastfed the first 3 of my children. My 3-year-old, I breastfed her for 18 months. She was my longest breastfed baby, and she was strictly breast. She would not take a bottle. And there were times where I'd be like, Lily, you're killing me. But I wouldn't change that experience for the world, because I never would have experienced it if I didn't push myself. Because there were times where I was like, you're going on formula. Now, with the twins, I really wanted to breastfeed them as long as possible. It just was not in the cards for me. I wasn't able to breastfeed them as long as I wanted to, but they were breastfed for the first month and a half of their life. So I think I did pretty good. I stopped producing milk. I got a lump in my breast, and my left breast just stopped producing milk, and then the right side was trying to keep up, but it just bummed out on me. So I completely stopped producing milk, and it was really hard for me, but I knew it was for the best. And honestly, it was probably the best decision, because now that they've been on strictly formula, they've been sleeping, okay? So instead of me getting up every 2 hours, I was getting up every 3 hours, and now they will sleep a stretch of 5 hours at a time. So we doing good, because I'm telling you, mommy be tired. So since I've had the twins, I have been having extreme mood swings. When I was pregnant, I really didn't have that many, because I was pretty much asleep my whole pregnancy. I had a horrible pregnancy. I was sick all the time. I lost 72 pounds. Yes, I don't know how, but that is what I lost when I was pregnant with my twins. After I gave birth, I gained back about 6 pounds, and I just been staying in that area. So after I had them, I started feeling low, but it was mostly because I was having a horrible recovery from my C-section, and I knew that was most of it. And then my babies were in the hospital. They were in the NICU for 2 weeks. Thank the Lord it was only 2 weeks, because I have encountered families that have been in the hospital for 6 months. One of my friends that I actually met when I was pregnant, she was pregnant with twin girls also, and her babies were born in July, and they weren't due until October, like mine weren't due until October. Mine were born in August, and her babies barely came home, and it's November. So I was very lucky. My children came home 2 weeks after they were born. 1 second, one of my twins are crying. I'll be right back. good? Okay. So, yeah, I was very fortunate that our children came home when they did. And we were ready because we actually ended up moving into the Ronald McDonald House, and we stayed in Greenville where our girls were. And it was rough, especially, me getting up every 2 hours to pump. My husband, he was stressing about our girls' well-being. And then our youngest, she had already been away